Okay, good. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our virtual press conference. I want to, first of all, acknowledge that I am standing on the traditional territory of the Denizah people, where Fort St. John is blessed to be located. And I want to thank you for your time today, and I also want to thank you for your diligence to following the guidelines that have been laid out very thoughtfully by Dr. Bonnie Henry. And it's only together that we will flatten this curve. So through these unprecedented times, as in other times of need, I am very proud of how our community has come together to help those who are in need, to support each other and to care for each other. So keep up the great work. So over the past several years, as you know, Council and staff have been very focused on ensuring a strong financial framework for our community. And today, thanks to the work that we have done, we have recently developed a financial policy framework. This framework guides the financial decision-making process. It improves our budgeting process with the end goal of really creating a strong financial position. Using the recently announced provincial tools, I believe that we can provide relief now and focus on recovery for our tomorrows. With that in mind, I'm recommending to Council additional measures for our community. These measures will allow the City of Fort St. John to moderate the financial impacts during these times in a prudent manner. There are a lot of things that we needed to consider. For example, no one has a crystal ball on this pandemic. We don't know what a new normal will look like, and we don't know when that new normal will be here. We don't know what recovery will look like. And we have a community that expects services across a variety of departments, so we will need to get back to normal with you. We have services that many smaller communities do not have that, if impacted, would be detrimental to the future of our community. And just a few of them would be our municipal RCMP detachment, our professional firefighters, our water and wastewater systems, our recreational facilities. Every community is different. Our city staff will forecast and present various budgetary scenarios depending on the duration of this pandemic for our upcoming council meeting. The recommended measures that I'm proposing are, first of all, to cancel the 1.25% tax increase for 2020. Secondly, as the provincial government has delayed the late penalty for business properties from July 2nd to October 1st of 2020, I recommend moving the late penalty for all property taxes to October 1st of 2020. And so while the tax deadline still remains July 2nd, the late penalty charges would not be applied until October 1st. And finally, I'm proposing the creation of a Mayor's Standing Committee on Economic Recovery and Resiliency to work with all our sectors to get them back on the feet, including for-profit and non-profit. And I'm making a recommendation that the revenue for that, for our business licenses, go towards that committee. To further support our businesses, the city will waive lease payments from vendors that operate in our recreational facility while those facilities are temporarily closed. These measures, along with the measures already in place, which include the water rate increase, the reduction of the water rate increase, the utility bill late fee suspension, and the increase in garbage collection previously announced, combined for a total of approximately $1.5 million, or 4%. Now, all of these measures speak only to our operational budget. And we will make use of the provincial tool where, for the first time ever, we are allowed to borrow approximately $1.15 million from our capital reserves. This is at a 0% interest over 5 years, rather than using our investments. The capital budget and the operational budgets are considered separate. Over the past 26 years, we have been diligent in using our Peace River Agreement money for capital projects that were so badly needed and continue to be needed. And we know that in addition to these relief measures, it's important to prepare for economic recovery. To that end, Council is committed to continuing with our $68.4 million capital plan, which will provide contracts and job creation in our community while improving the services our residents rely on. Again, all of this is funded separately from the Peace River Agreement and other sources, not from property taxes. These projects range from the construction of a new RCMP detachment and Festival Plaza to the infrastructure upgrades on 100th Street and 92A Street. And they'll create an estimated 516 jobs and inject about $33.5 million of labor income into our community. Moving forward, as always, we will continue to provide our input at all levels of government and continue to work with our colleagues, our neighbours to share information and ensure that our community, our province, our nation recovers. Thank you. We'll open that up for questions now.
Thank you for the announcement today, Mayor. I don't know if it's a free-for-all scrum here for questions for you, but Matt here with Alaska Highway News. So these measures will be being proposed for the upcoming council meeting next Monday.
Yes.
For a decision, along with some budget forecast estimates. I was reading the City of Prince George estimates it's losing about $1.3 million a month during this pandemic. Do you have an idea of what that situation looks currently in the City of Fort St. John?
So those scenarios will be presented to Council on Monday.
And when it comes to the Peace River Agreement funding from the province, which is a grant process, has the city heard from the province at all whether that funding is still guaranteed? I know a lot of governments are rolling out financial aid. I don't know how that's going to put pressure on the province's pocketbooks.
So we have not heard anything about any funding being denied. We've got it used to be a 25-year agreement. It's now 21-year agreement, so we have to apply every year, and we should be notified shortly on that.
Is it correct in my understanding? So you had mentioned the business licensing fees are still going to be in effect for this year, but they are going to this standing economic recovery committee. Could you elaborate on the formation of that committee, who might be involved from the business community, city council, city staff?
Sure. So the business license revenue for the city of Fort St. John is approximately $240,000. And the intention is to take that revenue and apply it towards this committee. This is a standing committee that will be created by myself, so a couple members of council will join, and I believe that we have some significant partners in the community that would become members of this committee, and that includes the Chamber of Commerce. And so we'll work on membership as need be. There's for-profit and non-profit in different sectors that I believe need to be at the table.
So would this $240,000 finance the committee, or would it be stimulus money to be awarded by the committee to various initiatives that might come up through the pandemic?
Right, so I don't think $240,000 is a whole lot of money to start a stimulus program. I think the stimulus program is our capital plan that's moving forward, but I do think that we've got a lot of good people in our community that can create some terms of reference for this committee. And moving forward, how do we manage this to create that recovery and that long-term resiliency? And that could mean advocating to the different levels of government for policies and programs for our communities, for the region. And so I'm looking forward to more conversation on that. But I do know that there's a lot of people that are looking for some kind of recovery and some kind of sense of resiliency.
When it comes to capital construction, I guess, and tendering, the city is bound by some certain national agreements that it can't necessarily guarantee local procurement. I guess you had mentioned 516 jobs, $33.5 million of labor income into the community, which is good. How can the city ensure as much of our capital dollars are going to local contractors and local workers? Right.
So those legislations absolutely at the provincial level and national level are in place, and also Council does have a policy to take the lowest appropriate bidder. And so I'm happy to say that I know that quite a few of our local companies have sharpened their pencil and have jumped in and taken a look at quite a few of the projects and are engaged in looking at them. So as we move forward, Council has a policy. Whether or not we want to change that policy, that is a decision of Council.
Just one last question here with a busy capital construction season. I think it's a record level of spending, a lot of big projects on the works. What is the city going to be doing to ensure the necessary public health orders are being enforced on the various construction sites around town?
So the public health officer has already got construction site orders in place, and anyone that owns and manages a construction company should be fully aware of them. We are, and we will make sure that in their proposal to us, they will be following those guidelines.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? If anyone's asking a question, you're on mute. No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I would ask that you stay tuned to our meeting on Monday to listen to Council's deliberations and to see the scenarios that have been laid out for the financial snapshots moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.